Well, good morning and welcome to today's episode of Transformed. I'm going to talk to you today about unless it's a telemarketer.
Welcome to today's message with Pastor Jim Balzano.
Before I do, I want to thank Park Home for our studio furniture and Made by Vogel for other items in our studio. You know, most people hate it, and some people even hate those that do it. You know who they are. Every once in a while, they contact you because they have something you need or something they say will bless you. Matter of fact, they might be calling you today about your extended warranty on your car that ran out. Of course, it's going to cost you money. And who are they? The dreaded telemarketers who invade your home with unwanted solicitations to buy their products. Certainly, we don't have to be loving towards them, do we? After all, they called us. They invaded the sanctity of my home. They're subject to receive whatever they get, right? I'll be the first to admit to ungodly attitudes when being solicited by a telemarketer. Sometimes I have been rude and nasty. Other times I have even tried to mess with them. You know what? Really, it's wrong. At the other end of the phone is someone who's trying to make a living. Maybe it's a college kid trying to make money while putting himself or herself through school. It could be a single mom, single dad, earning money for their family, or someone else. You see, I was reading one day about how to deal with telemarketers. Here's things that you should avoid if you are trying to get rid of them. Don't immediately hang up the phone. The results of that will be marking your lead as a no answer, and they will call you back and actually still try to have a conversation with you. Don't engage with the telemarketer anyway. That gives them a false hope that you need some convincing and you are actually interested in their product. Don't ask questions. Don't explain why you're not interested in the product. Don't show empathy or human characteristics. That's interesting, isn't it? Don't get irrationally angry at the telemarketer. Remember, the computer chose your lead, not the caller. If you scream at them because you've gotten called before, this will make them sympathetic. This will not make them sympathetic to your cause. It will likely just put you back in the lead pool to torture you more. Don't give up mid-conversation and hang up without an explanation. This will most likely result in the telemarketer calling back, claiming you got disconnected. If you don't answer then, they will keep calling. Don't let the telemarketer call you back at another time. Anything that's not a hard no will be interpreted as an opportunity to call you back. When you say this isn't a good time, the telemarketer hears, call me back later. When you say, sorry, I don't have the time to talk about this right now, the telemarketer hears, I will buy this another day. Like I said, me personally, I have not always been polite and respectful of those who decide to call me when I'm watching television, eating supper, or trying to spend time with my family. After all, we know that 1 Corinthians 13 should be a guide and should be a blueprint for our lives. You see, Paul didn't live in an era of telemarketers, or maybe he would have written 1 Corinthians 13 like this. Now, please forgive me, I'm having some fun here. Love is patient, unless it's a telemarketer. Love is kind, unless it's a telemarketer. Love does not act unbecoming, unless it's a telemarketer. Love is not provoked, unless it's a telemarketer. Love does not take into an account of a wrong suffered, unless that wrong is at the hands of a telemarketer. Love does not rejoice in unrighteousness unless it's towards a telemarketer. Love rejoices with the truth unless it's a telemarketer. Love bears all things, hopes all things, and endures all things unless it's a telemarketer. Now again, obviously I'm having some fun joking about how Paul would rewrite this. But don't we rewrite it when we act in an unloving manner toward those dreaded telemarketers? You see, today's point isn't a defense of telemarketers or telemarketing. I don't like those phone calls any more than most of you do. The point of the question is, why do we feel justified in being rude, unbecoming, or sometimes downright ungodly? Is it because we can't see their face? Kind of like social media, right? It's amazing how brave and ignorant we can be when we aren't actually facing a person. Is it because they have, as I've said before, invaded our home with their unsolicited calls? You know, in the list of things to do in order to avoid a telemarketer, there was one thing that really jumped out at me. They said, do not show empathy or other human characteristics. Listen to what they're saying. If you want to get rid of them, don't be human. And whatever you do, don't treat the caller like there's another human being on the other end. But that's exactly the point. There is another human being on the other end whom God dearly loves. The whole point isn't about how we deal with telemarketers. It's to get us to deal with our hearts and get them into a right place when we deal with people, humans created in the image of God, who bear the image of God that we are interacting with, even if it is over the phone. To be honest with you, I don't like this subject. It's actually convicting to me. I really want to live, sometimes just being unloving. But that's not the calling upon our lives as believers. And so let me have a little fun today and remind you that love is kind, even if it's a telemarketer. Have a great day.